Okay, welcome back for our second and final Quick Talks session. We're going to have the same format as we did before, 2 10-minute Quick Talks, but with one small addition, which is after the Quick Talks, there's an opportunity for very brief Q&A with the speakers. So if there's questions that you're thinking about while they're speaking, please save them for when they're both finished speaking, and we have microphones, and please ask them questions. Just before we get started, I want to mention a program here. We have the Tamer Center for Social Enterprise, which is the Tamer Fund for Social Ventures, because it's relevant to the speakers in the Quick Talks. The Tamer Fund for Social Ventures provides seed grants of up to $25,000 to nonprofits, for-profits, or hybrid ventures that are early-stage social ventures. We fund up to 8 ventures per year. The ventures to qualify have to be led by Columbia University students, faculty, or alumni, or researchers, or be advised and have significant involvement by Columbia University faculty or researchers. But it's across the Columbia University network, not just the business school. Since we launched the fund in January 2015, we've funded 9 ventures since inception. And you've actually met 2 of them today. Michal Alter from Visit.org is one of the recipients of the fund, as is Eat Off Beat, which is one of the caterers of today's lunch. So those are 2 of our 9 recipients. We encourage ventures to apply to the Tamer Fund for Social Ventures when they can clearly address the following questions. What is the intended social impact of the venture? What is the business model, and why will it succeed? And what is the strength of the management team? If you're involved in any social venture related to Columbia University, I encourage you and your venture to apply. And I'll also take any questions you have on the Social Venture Fund right after the Quick Talks if people have questions about the fund. Speaking of strong management teams, for this second Quick Talk session, I'm pleased to introduce Aileen Gemma Smith, CEO of Vizalytics Technology, and Jace Wilson, CEO at Neighborly. Please join me in welcoming them.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Aileen Gemma Smith, and I'm the CEO of Vizalytics Technology. I want to talk to you today a little bit about the company that I founded 4 years ago. And I also want to talk to you about the social and economic impact that we make for businesses, for residents, for communities, and government. So first, let me tell you the mission of Vizalytics. Our mission is enabling change with data, because we saw a tremendous opportunity in publicly available open data to make a difference for communities. So let me tell you about the problem that I want to solve, because this is an example of someone who's one of my early adopters and someone who's a hardcore user. When you want to start an enterprise, you have to believe in what you do. My hometown is Staten Island, and in 2012, the end of October, was a bit of a rainy day. Superstorm Sandy hit my hometown. I not only personally experienced a lot of flooding at the house that I lived in at the time, but I also saw firsthand for a community and for local businesses to be hit really hard and to not have access to the information that you needed and not to be able to know what to do next. So I said, the information is there. The opportunity is there. Why isn't anybody creating solutions to make a difference for folks like this, who are part of the heartbeat of our communities and who make up our neighborhoods? And that's how our very first product, called Mind My Business, was born. Fast forward a couple of years, we're now in New York, Chicago, Seattle. I've got over 3,000 users in New York City. We're a winner at New York City Big Apps, which was quite a privilege. And we've continued to grow and scale. But it all comes down to something really important. I wanted to help users, like the gentleman you see behind you here, make a difference. Because these are folks, we talk about social impact, we talk about economic impact. What does it mean when your entire life is inside your store? What does it mean when you've had maybe 2 or 3 generations of family being there, running that business, and then suddenly you feel completely left behind by all of these changes that are happening, that are solving, smart cities, wow, fast, sexy. Hi, I'm the bodega. And everybody comes to me because they need an ice cream or they want a pack of gum or they got to get toothpaste at 12 o'clock at night. Okay, who's making solutions for him? That's what we chose to do. And we wanted to make a difference. We've got strong engagement with our users because we did something else that was really important. When I did our user research, I went door to door and I talked to over 100 shopkeepers. Let me caveat that. I asked them questions and I listened. If you want to make an impact, if you want to change the fabric of a city, and if you want to change how things are working in society, one of the keys to that is being able to genuinely and really deeply listen. And I heard over and over again, what I don't know costs me money. They're ripping up the street. This is blocked off construction. I just don't know what's happening, and I can't prepare. I'm just stuck reacting. So I said, okay, this is what we're going to do. Our solution was actually so simple that when we were looking to present to New York Tech Meetup, they said, well, it looks too easy. I don't get it. And I said, well, yeah, that's the point. That's why we have the engagement that we do, because the business owners appreciate that they don't have to do anything. But we do more than that. We work with residents and communities. My first enterprise client was the city of New York. And they came to us and said, well, you've got great engagement with these local businesses. Could you do something similar with residents? I said, for sure. So if you go to the website called neighborhoods.nyc, for all 400 neighborhoods in New York, in 13 different languages, you can find out at a neighborhood level exactly what's going on in your community. And that's all the kind of boring but important stuff like, is the street going to be closed? Is there a parade? Is the DOT actually doing something like giving away great bike helmets? Or is there a recycle event? We put all of that there for citizens. And part of the reason that I was really attracted and honored to do that project was they wanted it to be equitable for all New Yorkers. And the idea behind neighborhoods was that no matter who you were, you could get access to this information. So think about that impact when Neighborhoods is designed for someone like my dad, who still lives in a quiet residential neighborhood in Staten Island, isn't tech savvy, and doesn't have, a really big, active, exciting community going on to say, here's what's happening. He can go there and he can find out information. You can also have it for students and for others to understand social services that are available. And that's another part of the entrepreneur journey that I want to talk about. This picture inspires me because it reminds me of one of the students that I worked with. And one of the most important things, actually, as an aside, that you can do as an entrepreneur when you're building out your venture is think about how you spend your time and with whom you spend your relationships. So about 2.5 years ago, the principal of a high school asked me if I could help out by being an internship coordinator. Kind of sort of busy building a company and growing and things, but yes, absolutely, this is important. Because she said something that stuck out to me. We're a career and tech ed high school, and I can't get internships for these students very easily because folks look down on us. Can you help me change that? And I said, well, yeah, absolutely, because both of my sons go there. So I wanted to use the privilege that I had as a business owner, be able to say, do you want to think about internships at this high school? And folks are like, it's a Voc school. Well, no, actually, my kids go there. It kind of changes the narrative of the conversation. So we talk about social impact. You think a lot in highfalutin terms, and here's how we're going to change the community. But what does it mean to those 15 high school students that maybe you created jobs for? And what does it mean to spend time with folks to say, I'm actually here, I'm listening to you, I want to make a difference to what you're doing? The other thing that you can do as you grow in your enterprise is think about the opportunities that you create for others. I'm proud to say that every single summer we've created opportunities for high school and for university students, because part of what we believe is if you want to make that societal change, you've got to eat that dog food. You've got to think about it. Next slide. Thank you. So scaling is hard. 4 years ago, I didn't have much behind me aside from an idea that I fiercely, fiercely believed in. And another thing that you need to keep in mind from an entrepreneur's point of view when you're building out your company is how determined are you? What makes you get up every single day to do this? And how much risk are you willing to take? There are challenges because a lot of folks will say no. A lot of folks will say, I don't believe in that. I don't think it's going to last. And you have to say, okay, thank you. We'll go on, and here's what we're going to do instead. Scaling is really, really hard. So as you think about your ventures, you have to understand where do you want them to be and how do you want them to be? What does that vision look like? Because if you don't know that vision in your own heart and in your own mind, no one's going to fund it. And you have to think about what does that business model look like. In our case, we sell to both public and private sector enterprise clients. In our case, it's been a really long journey because you have a lot of folks saying, I don't know it, I don't see it. And you have to sit there and say, well, here's what we've done anyway, and here's how we continue to outlast. Folks will talk about things like passion being important. I say, yeah, passion is important, but in some ways, grit is more important. There's a lot of challenges to building a company, and there are a lot of biases that we have to deal with as well. And certainly, if we want to make changes to social enterprises, and if we want to make changes that have economic impact, we have to understand those biases. So as you think about the companies that you look to build, understand what those biases are and what you can do to knock them down. In my case, some of the biases that I had to deal with was the fact that I'm not a 20-something founder. I didn't graduate from a prestigious university. I'm a very proud graduate from Brooklyn College at the City University of New York. I have a bachelor's degree in English Lit and a BFA in creative writing. And I'm really darn proud of that. At the time when I was at Brooklyn College, Allen Ginsberg was still there. But I've had folks look at us and say, I don't see pedigree founders. I see older founders. I'm not sure about that. Or I see a woman founder. These are the kind of biases that you have to, as you're founding your enterprise, say, I'm going to walk past that. And if I can borrow from what Mrs. Obama said, if folks are going to make low or unpolite comments, you have to aim high and go beyond that. Because I look at that and say, okay, great, here's what we're going to do instead. Here is how, instead of focusing on negativity, I can do something different. I can create opportunities for high school students. I can create opportunities for university students. I can make sure that every single client that we work with, we are so high touch and so focused, they have no choice but to not only want to work with us again and again, but to recommend us to others. And that's something that can outlast the negativity and challenges. This is a team from Pearl Diner. And I love these folks. These are great. I'm proud that they wear our shirts when we talk about our motto, being no one takes care of business like we do. Because the folks at Pearl Diner really represent a lot of what we do and why we chose to do it. It's a place that's been there for a long time. It's one of the 10 freestanding diners here in New York City. And how do you create a solution that says for the team there, I want you to be here 10 years from now, and I want you to continue to be here? You have to think about what's the fabric that I want to influence, and what can I do to weave it to be stronger? So in closing, what I'll say to all of you is if you want to make an impact, and you want to think about a legacy of change, start with the people that are right there, that are right beside you. One of the things that struck me from one of the high school students I worked with is he looks at me and he says, Miss Smith, you really think I could be somebody? I said, damn straight, Ed Wayne, absolutely. So you can make change in society by that one-on-one. It's not only just here's a great company, but that's what you do on the side as you're building on and you're expanding the idea that you have to make that social impact. And the other thing that I will say is never let anyone tell you no. Never let anyone tell you that you should stop and it's not worth it. Because I have 3,000 shopkeepers here throughout all 5 boroughs who say it does make a difference what we've done and what we've been willing to do. So I hope and I encourage that each of you will think about the enterprises that you have. Thank you.